All right, we're back. Welcome back to the R&D show. We thought we was done, but we got some more that we want to talk about. Another topic that we want to talk about with y'all, and that is the New Year's Eve service at the Dream Center Church of Atlanta. This New Year's Eve service has went viral, and there's been a lot of backlash and conversation surrounding what took place at service New Year's Eve at the Dream Center, which we attended because we actually go to the Dream Center, and so we got to experience what actually happened. And so let's start with walking into the church, and it was, for one, the theme was a sneaker ball, so you got to wear your favorite shoes and kind of showcase those shoes with maybe you have on a gown or a tuxedo or just your regular clothes, whatever the case may be. So people came, dressed to impress. There was a DJ, and the tone was kind of set for the beginning, which was, this is going to be an exciting night that's a little different, right? So the DJ is playing like Before I Let Go. This is before service starts. So just kind of getting people, feeling some type of way and just grooving a little bit and just allowing them a space to just enjoy themselves without being so stuffy. That I thought was different but cool. I didn't see anything because there were no curse words in the song. There was none of those things that were happening, and it was just people kind of singing along that knew the song and just kind of having a good time. And then we segued into the service starting, which we normally do, which is prayer and things of that nature and praise and worship. So the clip that was going viral was Swag surfing clip and the song playing, but I think it was just the instruments of the song playing, right?
I think so.
Instrumental, and just like Walk It Out also played, and I think that it was, at first it was just the instruments and then just the Walk It Out parts continuously playing, and then somehow some of the song was playing, and that's where it became a little
dicey. I was kind of shocked to hear the lyrics. I was like,
because I think the DJ was trying to catch and mute or go fast on those parts, but it's tough if you don't really know the song. You're gonna miss some of the.
But let's take a step back. We had coming in church, setting the mood, setting the environment, having this music playing, dancing, the ushers, dancing, bopping, vibing, to us transitioning the service to pastor preaching, and then during the middle of the sermon, all of a sudden we go to Walk It Out, right? I think that was.
This is where it became confusing.
This became confusing because we're talking about the Bible and I understand talking about walking it out. But it was confusing because hearing the lyrics and it just seemed, it muddled things. Like we could have just stayed in that space of being traditional church. But I see what he was trying to do. He's trying to blend the two and trying to make service enjoyable and fun. But a lot of traditionalists and people have an issue with that. Now, in the moment, I thought it was odd. But it was kind of cool. But I could see how people were like kind of put off by it.
Yeah, for me, it just created confusion in the atmosphere because it's tough to want to kind of command this praise and worship, right? To get into the spirit of speaking in tongues, of
speaking in tongues. Everybody had to speak in tongues.
Yeah,
so even learn how to speak in tongues.
Yeah, so it's tough to get into the spirit of ushering in that energy.
Yeah.
When you just playing Walk It Out. So you're saying you're going to play Walk It Out and have a good time, and now I need everybody right now to usher in the spirit, to usher in. It's a state of confusion because there's no way to tap completely out of that right in that moment, if that makes sense. It's kind of tough to now put my mind back into, okay, praise and worship from the world, which is why, growing up, there's always been this huge saying of there needs to be a separation. You have to separate the church from the world, And at this day and age, we've seen that both are now combined in some way or another, which is okay depending on how you use that to whatever advantage you're going to use that to. For me, I didn't get what I feel like I came for. And I think that's the problem. That's where I think that's where my struggle is, right? Is I had in my mind that I know what I'm coming for service. Now, it's up to me to get it, regardless of what the situation and circumstance is. And I can say I did get it, right? I feel like I did get what I wanted, but I'm saying as far as the structure of the service, I thought it was going to go a certain way. So that's why I came for that structure in my mind of what I thought it was going to be. Then I think that starting off the way that it started off was cool, yeah, because I thought that it was fine. I was just like, okay, he's getting us ready, and we're gonna go right into something amazing. But the confusion part came from us tapping into praise and worship, and then going out of that into the world of walking it out and whatever else, and then trying to tap back into praise and worship, and it was just too much back and forth. And so my spirit, I felt like, was confused. Just put it that way. And I felt conflicted. I felt conflicted about the way that the service was moving. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Pastor is good in what he does. I enjoy his teaching and preaching when it comes to certain things. It's very enjoyable for me. And I think that he has a way to command a room. But this go around, I was lost. I would have to say I was lost. And that doesn't make my church a bad church or him a bad individual. I'm just speaking for myself, that I can understand why some people felt the way that they felt watching a viral video of all these people in church swag surfing.
I think anytime you do something new, people are going to talk about it. It's uncomfortable. They haven't seen it before. So this could be the way that we're going. And we're just on a trend with the beginning of the trend. And so people are not used to seeing it. But the more people see it, the more they're going to be comfortable with it. But I do agree with you in terms of like just bringing you out of spirit where you were at. You know, you're in this space of worship and from a traditional way, then all of a sudden being jolted to walk it out. So I do see where the confusion could happen. For me, I was able to go in and out, but I wonder if I just was able to just stay in there.
Yes.
Like, you know, what spiritual space maybe I could have gotten to. Because I was thinking, like, in the moment, I was like, this is kind of cool, this is different. I was processing a lot. I wasn't really allowed to stay there, but I like people innovate. I like when people push the envelope on certain things. So I was intrigued. I was like, this is intriguing. But I was also a little bit concerned about how other people perceived it or how they were receiving it. Because some people say, I came to church to have church. If I wanted to go to a club, I'd have went to a club and brought New Year's Eve in at the club. I didn't need walking out, you know, doing the middle of the sermon. So,
or the worst of those songs that were played for that to be played. And again, I'm not saying that there was a right or a wrong. I'm just saying, based off of my experience being in that building, and I've been a member of Dream Center since 2017, so it's not like I'm new to this church. I've been going there since 2017, and I've been to pretty much every New Year's Eve service. So that's what I'm saying. I had this expectation of what I thought it was going to be, and I was looking forward to that. And when I thought that we were getting there, every time I felt like, okay, here we go, like I'm feeling it in my spirit, I want to tap fully into it, I almost felt like I was pulled right out and then shifted into, okay, now it's this. And so again, there was a spiritual confusion for me, and I don't know who else may have felt that in the building, but it was a spiritual confusion for me personally. In my relationship, I feel like we're all responsible for the relationship that we have with God. And with my relationship with God, I feel like it's fragile because I hold it to a certain height, right? It's important to me, and I don't like to play around with my relationship. And so, growing up the way that I did, Church of God in Christ, and on the religious aspect of it, it's like there's a strong shield of honor and respect when it comes to the house of the Lord. Mm-hmm. And we show up a certain way and we govern ourselves a certain way, and we have this separation. And we've been taught that if we want the world, we can go into the world. But if we want the church, then we have to be after the church. You know, that's where our heart should be, even if it's just for that moment or in that moment. And so that has always played in my mind, of this is why I've had these expectations, is because I've been conditioned to be in this space when it comes to the way that I govern myself in church. Again, I'm not saying that what happened was wrong. I'm just saying that based off of who I've been groomed to be, it was confusing for me to get what was happening, and it was confusing for me to completely be able to tap into the level of praise and worship that I wanted to bring in the new year in, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. What was Bishop's perspective on it? You said he went on.
So Bishop was on This Nation. First, he responded. I think it was to a blogger on YouTube or something like that. They did a video, and his response wasn't the best. No, maybe he did his own response first, is what it was.
Okay.
People, blogs just picked it up.
Okay.
He responded himself. He did a video himself. And one of the things that stuck out to me was his conviction in saying, if you aren't saving, and I may be missing some words, so this isn't verbatim, but if you aren't saving souls like I am, shut up, with conviction. So as if you can't have a perspective, you can't say anything, because if you didn't just save 150 people like I did this night, shut up talking about what I did in my church. And it was with attitude, it was with conviction.
Yeah, attitude.
And it was, it was a lot. So seeing that, instead of being like, I can understand why you guys feel the way that you feel. However, this is what we were trying to achieve in this New Year's Eve service. This was the goal. And only this clip went viral, but you didn't get to experience the overall atmosphere of what some people may have received as goodness for them in their soul. I just think we have to be very careful about always wanting to, respond with the reaction. That can be very impulsive. So
I love Bishop, but I do feel like he has some limitations from an ego standpoint, and that's okay, because we're all flawed. We all have issues. And we can still be flawed and still be a leader in Christ. But I do feel he probably responded from his ego rather than from a place of understanding, like you respond. I think like your response was the more empathetic and the more inviting, and the more people will be able to receive what he was saying better. So what is the message? What am I trying to accomplish in my response? Am I trying to get people to receive it, or I'm trying to tell people they don't know what they're talking about? Shut up.
Yeah.
And so I didn't necessarily agree with his approach. And I do believe it was an egotistical response. So that's really
and again, we see this all the time, even we talked about reality TV, is when people are in their feelings, or they feel different about what they've done or what has transpired, if they don't really sit in that and allow themselves to breathe in what it was and then come to it, you're going to respond out of anger, you're going to respond out of frustration, you're going to respond out of all of these things except for compassion. And so when you're doing that, you're just being impulsive with your words and with your actions and your behavior. And so it was tough to see the video of his response even going viral, because it's like, wow, like, shut up, just shut up. I can't say that I agree with the way that he decided to advocate on his behalf and the choice that he made for his church, because at the end of the day, he is the head of our church. But it's okay to disagree, right?
It's okay to disagree.
It's okay to disagree.
But here's my challenge: is we just came off a sermon months ago talking about when you feel something, investigate the way you feel and don't respond immediately.
Absolutely.
And then for you to not do this, you're a human.
Yeah.
So we don't expect for our pastor to get everything right. But there was an opportunity to lead by example and to investigate where you're feeling and try to even think about what other people are feeling and know that you're doing something that is very new and it may be received in a certain light. and to come back in a more, maybe a more empathetic and understanding way would have been helpful and have been nice to see.
Just having some type of honesty with compassion.
Yeah.
Because you can be honest in why you did what you did and not feel bad about it at all. I mean, this is the choice that I made for my church, and I'm okay with that. But also having compassion toward how people may have felt offended, or felt like it was a mockery, or it was too much that transpired for a church of this standard, of this size, just in general of your like where you are, your status within. I don't want to say the religion aspect of, but where you are as a gospel artist, as a pastor, just in general. It could have been a little different, and I'm happy that you made that point, because Pastor did say himself that there's a difference between 7 seconds and 7 years, that you get to dictate what that looks like based off of how you show up with your response.
What do you think about that 7 seconds and 7 years?
So he said pretty much like doing the right thing and making the right choice, right? So if you're investigating your feelings before you just react, that sets the difference between 7 seconds of your life and 7 years of your life. So for instance, you can save your life within 7 seconds by just not being irrational and impulsive and being brutal in the way that you chose to react and respond towards something or the decision that you've made.
Basically, you have this, in 7 seconds, you can end up killing someone. You can make a decision that will affect the rest of your life, where you'll be in jail for 70 years. So just making that decision upon like how you choose to respond can really be a difference between, like you said, 7 seconds or 70 years.
Yeah, so I don't know. And like you just said, sometimes you can forget what you put out there for us to take in as food for thought and not even eat your own food. So I think we just have to be very mindful of.
And not to eat your own food. That's not, hey. Damn.
You got to eat the food that you're cooking, right?
Yeah.
So we all want to be healthy. But yeah, that's our take on that, because we were actually in the building and we got to experience what that was. So I can say I can understand why people felt the way that they felt, because I may have felt some of that as well. But it does not make the church in itself or Pastor William Murphy and himself bad, right? It doesn't make our overall experience as members there bad.
It didn't make the night bad.
It didn't make the night bad either. It didn't.
I felt refreshed.
I can just understand why there's backlash.
Yeah.
Because I immediately brought that up when we left service. Like, I was confused.
Yeah.
And my spirit was conflicted, and it wasn't what I thought that I wanted. For New Year's Eve, I had this expectation of what I thought it was going to be, and so things happen.
Things happen, and it's interesting to see how the church grows and evolves, because just like you can evolve past the church can evolve in a different direction than initially started. So we have choices, like a relationship. We have choices. Do we still want to be in this type of relationship with Dream Center? And is it time to move on, or is this can we still receive the word, even though ideally this may not be the path we would like to go, but like there's still a lot of great things that you get from that particular church. I think too many times people just church hop, maybe one thing that they don't like, and then they're done with the church. Same thing in relationships. It might be one thing you don't like about a person, and now you're out, but it's always going to be something. So I always look at the bigger picture. Is this?
But we also have to be careful about an ego of that relationship too, because you also cannot, and not saying that. I've heard this before from pastors. If you don't like it, you don't have to be a member here. That's so much attitude and ego, instead of understanding why this is an issue for me and helping me work through this and helping us build a better relationship. So I think it works both ways.
Yeah. And saying, hey, you might not agree with everything that I do or say, but like, do you agree with most of the things? Right? And so
because we enjoy having you as a member, we enjoy relationshiping with you, but
so that's my concern. I'll be honest, that's my concern. I love Dream Center, but I sometimes I do evaluate, whether this for long term is a place for me, and that's okay. It's nothing against the church, but like sometimes you just go in different directions, and I don't know. I think I'm still evaluating, but I still go there, enjoy it, have a great time, and I actually enjoyed the service. It pushed the envelope, and I was like, this is cool. I wonder how this is going to connect with people, especially with the young people, because I saw a lot of young people there.
I would love more though traditional gospel praise and worship, and not so much CCM praise and worship, because I feel like traditional gospel praise and worship feeds your soul way differently than CCM does. It ushers in a different type of spirit that's a little bit more heavier. That's the only thing that I feel like I'm missing at church. And so I usually get that in the car and listening to, old school John P. Key and Yolanda Adams and Kirk Franklin and all the rest of these artists that I grew up with. But you're not gonna get everything that you want, of course, but
that is a great example of also how I perceive relationships. Your partner is not going to give you everything that you want. Yes. You have friends that can support you in ways that your partner can't. Family members. So like the fact that like when we do go to church, we are listening to traditional gospel music on the way there, on the way back. And so like and then we're not expecting the Dream Center to give us everything. Yeah. It's giving us something. And so we're able to fill in with this other stuff that gives us our complete experience that we would like to have. So I think that's a really cool point that I think people really miss out, and people miss out on having great relationships with churches and also great long-lasting relationships with people because they want that person or that church to be their everything. And that is just not possible.
Because as long as you're getting fed something, because it has to be something. You can't just be starving in a relationship.
Yep.
If your appetite is being fulfilled with something, then that's good enough. Because again, one person cannot be everything or give you everything that you desire. We're all complex people. We're all built and made differently. So we have different needs and desires that it would be selfish of us and cruel to think that someone can fulfill all of that. That's just not the reality of it. And so I get what I can get, and I take it and I nourish it and I enjoy it at church, because what's for me is going to be for me. I have to be open to receive it. I can't come into this just because I don't necessarily agree with the way that we do praise and worship every Sunday with CCM. I'm not going to show up. But there's a message that's for me, that's speaking to my life, that's giving me some type of substance once pastor gets up there and speaks, So I come to get what I need, and then I'll leave.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes a point where, like you said, you're starving, you're not getting. Maybe it's the CCM, and then maybe the message is not there. Then you make the decision to leave. Only you know that for yourself. I say, before you just jump out of a relationship with a church, investigate and just really think about it. Is it grass really green on the other side? Can someone else feed me more from a holistic standpoint and better? And it may be the case. That may be the case, but just think about it.
Absolutely. But that's our take on the New Year's Eve service at the Dream Center Church of Atlanta, Pastor William Murphy. And so hopefully, I don't think we said anything that was crazy. We just gave our authentic experience of, what took place.
Yep.
Because we were there. Some of you weren't there. You just seen a viral video. So you got the actual experience.
You got more context behind it,
from the members. All right, so I wanted to jump in and just give y'all that. And so just be blessed, and hopefully y'all have a great week. All right.
This is
Peace out.